Beautiful. So Monday, March 4th, here we are, the sort of oncoming of spring, but much of, I think, especially the west coast of North America, we are in like winter.
Yeah.
Up in Whistler, where I am, we've received feet and feet of snow over the last week. And I know it's been a lot of fun skiing, and certainly down where you are, Rena, I think you guys have had a fair bit of snow as well. I've
Yeah, a
seen
little bit.
your beautiful pictures. Um, so what we're going to have a bit of just a routine when we begin, and that is, saying hello like we are and checking in. We'll do just a really quick technique where we just get present, because who knows if you've been rushing from something to get here, and we want to make sure that we all land here. And then we will always be doing something where we celebrate and share our wins. And there is something energetically when we share our wins, both big and small. It could be that, a plant you planted last fall, you see the first little bud, right? It can be anything, but it's all about raising our vibration level. And so then you'll have an opportunity to do that before I kind of dive into tonight's program, which is like, oh, so juicy. So I'm really excited for what we're going to discuss tonight. So good. Here comes Lucy. So let's just take a moment. And all we're going to do to get connected, if you are able to sit, hello, beautiful Lucy. Hello. Good to see you here. If you're able to plant your feet on the floor, that really helps to ground us down and into the earth. And this program, as we're going to talk about tonight, is about embodiment, because that is our access to healing. That is our access to our own higher self. How do we access who we are as pure consciousness? We actually need to ground. Just like an oak tree has to root in order for it to grow, so must we ground in order to ascend, right? We must descend to ascend. So feet are planted on the floor. Place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. And anything I offer, remember, it's just an invitation. If you are not called to do so, it is okay. And you're welcome if it feels good to close your eyes or keep them open. It's totally what feels good for you. And I'm just going to invite you now to just take a breath into your belly. Just take a breath. Notice if when you breathe, if it feels easy or if it feels like, whew, it's hard to get that breath in. And just be present to how that breath is moving in and through your body. And we'll do that again, just breathing. And notice if your belly rises before your chest or if it's the other way around. And then just gently letting the breath go, gently, softly, easily, and just gently pull your belly towards your spine. This is where we anchor into I am. And again, as you breathe in, this time just cue your belly to rise before your chest and see what happens. And then suspend the breath, just bring in a little more breath. Think of breathing in bigger than your body. And as you exhale, let your shoulders relax, your chest soften, and gently pull your belly to your spine. Let's just do that 2 more times. Breathing in, let your belly fill, then your chest fills. Suspend the breath, and then breathe in a little more as if you're breathing in from everywhere, all around you. And then exhale, let your shoulders soften, chest soften, gently belly pull to spine. And just one more time. Noticing the slowing down. If you've been speeding around all day, notice how we slow down. And then we exhale, belly to spine, and just imagine you're sending the energy down through your legs into the feet. And then just let your arms relax. And then just keep your gaze soft. Just gently open your eyes, but keep looking down. And notice when your eyes open, we're going to practice this in a little bit. If you can stay in that presence of the softening in your body, or if you sort of lose that grounding. And if you lose it, just close your eyes again and come back home to you. And then just gently open your eyes and see if you can stay in that. It's about coming into the present while staying that sense of groundingness in your body. And then as you're ready, gently open your eyes all the way up, coming back into your space. You're welcome to look around your room. Notice what's on the walls and ceilings, coming into the present. And now just taking a moment, beautiful that we can see all of you. Thank you for being present here with your cameras on. It really is a nice intimate group. Just look at notice who else is with us on Zoom. Just take a moment, look at these beautiful faces that we are going to be traveling the journey of an incredible year together, and connect with each other. Connect with the love and the presence and the support. And as we know, life goes like this. Life goes like this. And what we're here to do in this program is make the ride a little smoother, if you will. Make it a little smoother as we're riding the ebbs and flows of life, that as we build energetically the circuitry in our body, as we expand our emotional resiliency, it makes the ride a little smoother. And when we have a community that is speaking the same language, that is understanding what it is that we're up to, there's something that we call holding a space for each other. And this is what we are here as a community, a collective community in this mentorship program, is that we are here holding a space for each other where we rise and level each other up. So welcome everyone to our masterclass for Monday, March 4th. And it is my pleasure and honor to be here with you. And thank you for choosing to be here all together as well. So to begin, I invite you to unmute yourself and just share celebrations or wins, even if they're small. Remember, the more we notice the small celebrations or wins that happen, the more we're going to notice them, the more they will come. So who has a celebration to share? I have a sense Rena does, because you kind of have that.
And I like to go first to get it over with. You know.
Oh, okay. Well,
no, I got wins. I have taken on, since we started this, things are coming in to me that I had no clue or did not ask for. And one of them has been the opportunity to start a 4-H group here in our little town of Chelan. It's a sewing and fashion 4-H. I don't know if anybody knows here, but what is 4-H? But it's college sponsored, and it's USDA. It's the agricultural world, but usually it's cows and horses, but we're not cows and horses. I was in 4-H when I was young. My mother had a sewing 4-H club, and there were 12 of us, and we sewed and sewed and sewed, and it was something I dearly love to do, and I still do. But when I met this woman, she is a fashion designer for Nordstrom, and she lives here in my town, and she wants to help me do this. And I'm going, where did she come from? I don't know what happened. I wasn't asking for this. And so next week we have our first meeting with 5 girls so far. We're looking for boys as well, but yeah, we're very excited, and I'm going, it just is such a breath of fresh air for my life, you know, to have kind of a project to do that matters. So that's my end.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you, Rena. I see how lit up you are. Who else has a win they'd like to share or a celebration? It doesn't matter if it's big or small. All of it is a celebration. Dale, do you have anything?
think so. I was away last week, so that kind of jumbled everything up. But before I went away, probably feeling more optimistic, more positive. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Good. How about you, Sharon? Do you have anything to share?
I'm just trying to think because I've had to solve so many things, but I've been celebrating my birthday too
Oh, good.
for the last 2
Happy
weeks.
birthday!
Yeah, another year older, but anyway, the party's over now. But I guess back a couple of weeks, one of my intentions is to find somebody very reliable to help me both inside and outside the house. So I, thanks to you, Linda, found the handyman. He's absolutely fabulous. I now have more light in my kitchen and my bathroom, and he's done a whole bunch of work for me. Has my 2 lists, and he's going to do all the rest of the work gradually around the house. So I think that's a pretty big win.
That's a major win. When
Because
you
I'm
live
a
on
widow
your own.
all by myself and putting my back up in the fall, there's certain things I can't do now. So, wow, I'm really, really pleased. And we have April cleanup coming up, right, Linda? So I think this for me right now, that's a big win.
That's awesome. Thank you, Sharon. I love it.
Thank you.
Ethel, do you have anything, a win to share? You're just muted, so you know.
Start out. I think there are many. And one particular one was in my relationship with my husband. And yesterday, I guess I had a sharp statement and he had a sharp statement. And then he says, you know, we oughtn't to be doing this to each other because we only have a certain number of years left. And
Right.
that was just a very precious real, and I could say, yes. And now when the pot shots happen, it's like, oh, and yes. So yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay.
And this is an interesting piece. Now, I'm not aware if your husband is doing the type of work that you are studying with, you know, the somatics and this work and all of these things that, you know, when you change, others change around you, and that's the ripple effect.
Yeah.
And so it's not just how we view others. All of a sudden, people show up differently as well. And that's the power of this work. Quite incredible. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Ethel. And Lucy, you are in the West Coast.
Yeah, I got here yesterday, and I guess my most recent celebration or win was just to give some context. In the last few years, I've developed a great fear of flying, that it's crippling. And but I've got to get on the plane to come here to see my mother. And I guess the win was prior to the intention of using better language for myself is that I would go to the airport, take the Valium, and then essentially come undone. And yesterday, I managed to hold it together, even though Air Canada was 2 hours late in taking off, that was a thing. They were 2 hours late, and they are always late. But I didn't lose it. And what I will say is the airline is very helpful with this. I let them know that this isn't the 6 o'clock news, but that I do get really have a lot of anxiety before we take off. Anyway, I guess the multifold of the celebration is the acceptance that this phobia is part of my life now, as opposed to asking why and where did it come from, because I used to fly so much for work. Yeah, so I guess that would be the most recent celebration, is that I'm managing it.
Beautiful. That's incredible. So thank you for sharing that, Lucy. And what's happening is your window of tolerance is expanding, in that our ability to stay present, even when there's something happening in our physiology or circumstance, is we're able to do both. And that's what you were doing, is that you're expanding your window of tolerance to say that, and to be able to communicate and say, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I experience. Even that can be very healing and grounding, right? Just
Right.
speaking the
Yeah.
words out loud
Yeah.
is really beautiful. And the other piece that I heard in your share is that what we tend to do is want to push the pain away. So when there's something that doesn't feel good, be it physical or emotional, we tend to pull away from it. And really that the access to healing is to actually go to it. You know, they say what you resist persists. That's an old adage from The Secret. Whatever you tolerate will continue. And it's that same piece that by saying, you know, going to it. And this is where, when we go into the body and we do the embodiment, where do you feel that in your body? Let's hug into that part of you. Let's love into that part of you. And then it starts to relax and it starts to settle and things start to slow down. So when we're having these panic attacks or these feelings of anxiety or overwhelm or stress, what's happening is that it's like we're pulling up and lifting up out of our body. I was chatting with a client yesterday who had received some news, and she said, Linda, it was instant. I felt everything tighten around my shoulders, my neck, and I got a migraine in a second.
Yeah.
She couldn't control that. And it's like you're coming up out of your body. And so where our access is to come back down and ground. And that's the feet on the floor, the belly breathing, the squeezing of the Mula Bandha. And we're going to talk more about our anchor points tonight, and accept what is and go to it rather than push away. So you're using these tools and these resources, Lucy, and look at the win of that is really remarkable. So so proud.
Yeah, and catching myself when I say out loud, "Oh, you're stupid." Oh, and I go, "No, you're not. That's not the language we need to be using anymore." So I think that acknowledgement is good.
Absolutely. We're going to talk more about that this evening. So wonderful wins, everybody. Beautiful job. And the piece, you know, around this is that the intentions don't have to take a year to come, to start to show up, to start to come to fruition. And they can sometimes come in subtle little ways. And the more we're starting to be aware of the nuances and the subtleties of it, the more it will grow and flourish. And so, you know, one of the benefits of sharing in a group is that we see the people, you know, there can be some big celebrations that come. And sometimes we can sit back and go, but I don't know if I have anything that big. And you know, we can start to bring ourselves small. We'll use that to go, well, maybe there's a little one there for me, because life goes like this. So that's wonderful. Okay. So we are going to begin. So I'm just going to pin myself and for the recording. And you're welcome to stay on gallery or move to speaker view. It's entirely. Oh, do you have a question, Ethel? Yes.
Yes, what time does this go until today?
Well, it'll go till 6:30.
6:30. Okay, I
Yeah.
just need to go step out for a
Okay. Yep. No problem. Okay. So last month, what we did is we set our intentions. I do invite you, if you did not send me your intentions, to send them to me. If it's an invitation, what do I do with your intentions? I actually read your intentions every day. And so when they're sent to me in your words, when I'm reading them and holding that space for your intentions to come, I'm connecting with each of you every day, and as a remote healer, and I'm reading your intentions and feeling the intentions, and it's called a supercharge. Here's how this works. If you just put your hands up like this, and just presence yourself again to the people on the screen. Even if you're on speaker view, you're all there in little squares or big squares, it doesn't matter. And just take a couple of breaths And notice if you feel energy in your hands at all. And just start to even move your hands forward and back just a little bit. And see if you can feel that warmth. Does anyone feel that energy in their hands?
Yeah.
So where did this come from all of a sudden? This is our 11th chakra, which is our hands and feet. This is our electric chakra. But we are right now connecting to each other energetically. So when I look at your intentions every day, I am here with my hands up, sending my energy and my love to you, that your intentions manifest in divine timing to the highest and greatest good. And so it is. So if you have not sent your intentions to me, I am still doing the supercharge, but it's just less specific than on your intentions. Beautiful. So you can rest your hands. So what we also did in our activations is that one of the activations was about releasing what was in the way. And then we did an activation on being your own cheerleader, which is a little what Lucy alluded to, right? It's like, wait a minute, I'm my own cheerleader. You got this. You can do this. You're capable, right? So our mind will do whatever we tell it to do. That's its job. The job of your mind is to keep you here for a very long time, and it will do whatever you tell it to do, be it right or wrong, be it for good benefit or not great benefit. So the piece is we want to tell our mind extraordinary things so that we can have an extraordinary life. And this is exactly what Lucy was sharing, is that, okay, I can, if my body, I love this, this book I've been reading. Ethel will be familiar with this author, Deb Shapiro, but it's called Your Body Speaks Your Mind. Your body speaks your mind. So whatever you're speaking and that tape that you're running, those looping thoughts, is going to affect your entire physiology. It will affect your hormones, your chemistry. I was sitting on a chairlift the other day, and we were at the midpoint between getting on and off, and I was at the highest point from the ground. Now, I shared before that I did suffer from anxiety and panic attacks years ago, and for many years, and I've been free of that for a very long time. And the chairlift stopped. I was with 4 people, but I didn't know them. I was riding single, and it was snowing. It was windy. And when the chairlift stops for more than a minute, it usually means it's something mechanical. For whatever reason, on that day, I could feel the anxiety coming up and rising up. I'm like, I haven't felt this in a very long time. I was literally coming up out of my body. And I thought, I don't know anybody on here, and I'm either going to pass out or I'm going to start freaking out or something, right? And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the bathroom. What if we're here for hours? Are we going to freeze? Yeah, all these things started happening. So I went, okay, this is awesome. This is good, because this is what I'm teaching. So nobody was talking. So we all had time to be in our head. I took some breaths. I came into my pelvic floor, my Bhuma Bandha. I was belly breathing. And then I was like coming present into my body. And I was like, okay, who knows a joke? So I started the conversation going, because what did I need to do? I needed to come into the present moment. I was coming out of my body, and I needed to come back into my body in the present moment. And as we started to tell jokes back and forth, and I said, okay, let's everyone introduce the name. Where are you from? We were stopped for a good 10, felt like a freaking hour, but I'm sure it was only, 10 minutes. But I came out of it that quickly.
Wow.
I was in it going, I remember this. I don't like this feeling. This is a bad feeling. I don't know anyone here who's going to take care of me. And then it was about coming into the body and into the present. So, we have these moments, and the key is to use the tools and the resources that we have. So then what we did is we, the meditation for February was the elevator shaft meditation. Did anyone manage to listen to it once? No judgment, twice? Okay. And it made anyone listen to it once and thought it was boring? It's like, what is this all about? Yeah. Okay, good, good. Yeah, I thought so too. But it's actually a very profound meditation, because what it is doing is it's anchoring you into your core. And what we're going to be learning more and more throughout the year is the value of these anchor points to ground you into your central channel. I talk a lot about the root chakra, the Mula Bandha, because we're at the start of our time together. But when we squeeze the Mula Bandha and we anchor the shoulder blades and we constrict the chin, and then we roll our eyes up and we breathe up and down the channel, which we've done, where we're breathing energy from above through that channel. And if we have these points anchored, it keeps us in our core, in our central channel, which is where we ground, which is where our gut instinct is. A friend of mine, or a client who I've been working with, she had signed up for the course. She said, you know, Linda, I didn't want to take this course. Or she said, I wanted to take it, but there was something that was, I'm like, I just wasn't registering. She felt some resistance in her body. 2 weeks into the course, her mother-in-law is passing away. And then, and there's a deadline with the course, and the instructor didn't have any compassion, and there's all this stuff. So she withdrew from the course. She goes, I didn't know why I didn't want to sign up, but she goes, my body was telling me, because she's so practiced now at being in the core. She goes, next time when I feel that feeling, because I'm being in my body, I'll listen, because not registering was the right thing. And sometimes in hindsight, we don't know. I was supposed to drive from Whistler to Surrey on Friday night, and it was something that was planned for a long time. And there was something in going, don't go, don't go, don't go. And I listened to it, and I phoned and I said, I'm not going. Well, it turned out that I would have been stuck in a huge snowstorm, black ice, the highway was shut down, and then getting back the next day was taking people like 5 hours. So I'm like, oh, I didn't know why I shouldn't have gone. But I listened, and then in hindsight, it was like, that was the right choice. So the value of that elevator shaft meditation, should you listen to it again, now you'll have a little background as to why that elevator shaft, we're stopping on the, on the 7th floor, we're stopping on the 6th floor, the 5th floor, and we're going through and we're staying present to each part, each chakra, and then breathing up and down that channel. And this is, again, our access to all that we want to be connected to consciousness and to healing. So we did also talk about the Vedic life cycle, and I'd want to review it, because what we're going into next is going to touch on this, and I just wanted to refresh the picture in your head. Now, the picture I showed you was this. This will be more familiar, and I did send it. So as part of the cycle in life is that we're always expanding. We're always in a cycle. And when we're aware of what part of the cycle we're in, when the wobble happens because we expand, it's unfamiliar. It's like we all of a sudden jump into a container that's bigger than what we're used to. And we need to find our way and get comfortable in that bigger container. We anchor in, and it's like, okay, this is good. And then all of a sudden we're expanding again because we're learning, we're growing, and all of a sudden we jump into a bigger container and we're kind of like, whoo, I'm not familiar with this, right? Whoa, it's like, it's like getting new skis. All of a sudden you're like, how do I work these things? Or those of you that maybe golf, all of a sudden you take a golf lesson and then you're like, what happened to my golf game? until the expansion, till you anchor in that expansion. So what I wanted to show you was the circle. So we saw the spiral. So seasons are like this, right? There's the time to, winter is where we're sleeping, spring is where we're sowing, summer is where we're reaping, right? Fall is where we're starting to decompress, we're starting to deconstruct. We can be in many life cycles in this. So we're in a life cycle. Remember that wheel of mastery from the first day? We can be in one part of the cycle financially, health, fitness, relationship, right? All these different things. So there's the create phase, which is the most exciting, right? I've signed up for a new course and I'm going to learn all this stuff. This is so exciting, right? Part of your job and part of my job is to keep the energy up. So on month 5, 6, 7, 8, we're still in it and showing up, because towards the end, then we're all like, oh, it's the end. I better, I better get back on it. So there's the create, the exciting, right? This is where we have so much energy. It's almost effortless. The energy is so high. And then we're in the sustain cycle. And the sustain is where we're reaping the benefits of the creation. What am I going to plant? Get my garden ready. Now I'm eating the vegetables. New relationships, so exciting, fun. And now we're in the relationship, in the sustaining. The deconstruct phase is when we are creating and sustaining, there is a growth that happens. There is a learning, there is an expansion that happens. And there's some things that we can start to shed that we no longer need. Right? Like, I hired a coach. I got better at my sport. Now I don't need that coach anymore. I don't need to go through the lesson plans. It's more remote. I'm better. So now I'm going to shed and let go of that particular coach, because that coach has taken me as far as they can go. Relationships, this is when a certain relationship in your life is no longer serving you, right? Some friends, as Oprah says, come into our life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And there can be a time where it's like it's done its course and it needs to shed. And then we come into the void. And the void is actually one of the more challenging places to be in, because this is where we sit and do nothing. We allow ourselves to be in the void. And what comes from that sense of stillness, quiet, the space, is that from there is where the new creation comes. Where people get tripped up is if they don't allow each phase to be complete and they move on to the new phase too quickly, they keep getting pulled back. A very simple example may be weight loss. If someone has lost weight, maybe they've lost it too quickly and haven't done that anchoring after the expansion to anchor into the new person, the new physicality that they're noticing. They haven't completed a cycle, so they gain weight. Relationships, how many times do you get back together with your ex, right? Some of you may have been married very long time, but we can probably still remember that. You break up and you get back together because we're not comfortable sitting in the void, or maybe we haven't truly shed everything that needs to be shed. This is where things and patterns will happen to you over and over again. So a pattern, an example is the same type of situation shows up in a new way. And until we truly get the learning and the lesson, so say I have a bad hiring practice, right? I have to hire people and I hire too quickly. I don't do my due diligence. And then I hire bad people and there's this cycle. I keep hiring narcissists or whatever. I don't know. I'm just making this up. So the learning in there is that now what I'm going to do is I've learned I need to check references. I need to have a longer probation period. I need to spend more time getting to know them so that I don't have this same situation happening. So when we are in in the expansion, you're always still going to be doing this, but how painful the process is whether we learn from each cycle or not. So if you have something in your life that's repeating, where there is to look is where in the cycle did you not complete whatever it is. Is that making sense?
Mhm.
Okay, great. So again, every time I explain it, there's a deeper level of understanding within it. So tonight, what we're going to do is we are going to just quick share my slide. We're going to start to dip into the principles of the energy codes. We're going to explore what our signature vibration is. And we touched on that just with taking those few breaths at the moment of how do we come back into our body. And the more time we spend throughout the day in our signature vibration, the more that vibration can hold you when you're in a wobble. And if I may, this is what you experience, Lucy, is that you are changing your vibration by the way you speak to yourself, catching yourself, that there was a wobble, there was a circumstance that prior would have caused a big splat. But because your signature vibration is becoming more stable as the norm, when we're in a challenging situation, it can hold us through that. So it's not to say that we don't wobble. I shared a wobble. I hadn't experienced that sort of feeling of a panic attack coming on for years. And I felt it, but because my normal vibration, my signature vibration is high, it was able to support me and hold me. And that is also what we can refer to as our window of tolerance or emotional resilience. We're going to talk about the quantum flip. And the quantum flip is a way that we can view the world. And then hopefully we'll have time. If not, I will do a tutorial video and send it to you, teach you the mortar march, which is all about bilateral stimulation in the body so that we can really anchor in our intentions. So that is what we're going to cover tonight. Any questions so far? Yes, go ahead, Ethel. You might be muted.
I'm always concerned, I either take copious notes and don't really attend, or you're sending out the slides and that chart of the, I'm thinking.
Yes, so what I will do after
don't
each
mind.
master class, like I did with the last one, is I'll send out a sheet with the key points. So if there's any quotes, if there's any like the key highlights with like those things, and then a paragraph to plus the replay.
Okay.
So you'll get sort of a review of what we've done.
And I'd appreciate that cycle of life chart that you had.
Yeah, I did send you this one. I sent you that one.
Yes, but the other one,
The other one.
the Vedic one.
I'll do my best. I pulled it out of the manual, so it's in a big thing. But yeah, I'll do my best to get that one to you. Pull that through. Yeah, perfect. Okay. And just a reminder again, any of these things that I'm showing are the property of Dr. Sue Mortar, and I have permission to share as part of my coursework with her. But this would be only for your personal use. If I send those to you, it's not for you to use as a teaching tool. Okay, just out of respect. All right, so back to sharing the screen. So when we are looking at the principles, we call them the 5 truths. These are things that this was produced through the Mortar Institute and what we know as truth. First off is that everything is energy, even you. All it is different densities of energy, which is what I've shared from the very beginning. So you've seen this. Here we are as pure consciousness. in the most finite form of energy. And when we're coming down into our physical body, our energy is compressing and compressing and compressing and compressing until we are in this physical body. So we are all different densities of energy in our physical body, but also our beingness, our pure consciousness is energy. Your life is a reflection of your energy, meaning how we view the world. I will put this on the big screen. How we project out into the world, it's like a projector screen. Whatever is going on in here is projecting out. I was having a conversation with a friend today, and he said, nothing is flowing in my life. Nothing is flowing. Everything is difficult. He has to change his energy and his languaging come into the body so that the outflow of what's happening out there is a reflection of what's happening in here. So if you feel like, man, everything is going wrong, there's all this stuff and what's going on, you slow things down by coming into our body. We aren't going to go into each of these in detail tonight. I just want to sort of do a snapshot, but each masterclass, we're going to go into these 5 truths deeper. Tonight is around the energy. Number 3 is you are the creator of your life. And when we totally step into that, we access our power for how our world goes. So many people think that the world out there has more impact on how their life is than they do themselves. And tonight we're going to be talking about the quantum flip, which is going to teach us a technique where we bring ourselves back as creator. Your creation, your life is always expanding. And that's what we've talked about here. You're always expanding. But the more we're aware of what that Vedic cycle is and what part of that cycle we're in, the more we can understand, oh, all this is, I'm just sitting in the void. Okay, well, this is going to be great because the more I can stay in the void, in that stillness, in that nothingness where there's nothing to do, I know that there's going to be a creation coming out of me. If you've ever sat there and there's been something going on and you're literally saying, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do next. Like, I don't know how to handle whatever it is. You're in the void. And to embrace that void of going, okay, there's nothing for me to do. I'm just going to breathe and come into my belly and come into my body. And then you wake up in the morning and the answer is there. Oh, this is what I need to do next. I need to let that go, or I need to do this. And the purpose of your life is to discover your creatorship, which is already inside of you. Our creatorship is not out there. I feel for young people going, so what's your passion? What's your purpose? What are you doing? And they're like, it's like if we would just teach them to be still and listen into their body. They say, whatever it was that you loved to do when you were between the ages of 10 and 15 years old. Yes, there you are with the sewing, Rena. Yes, it is what your creatorship is. Awesome. Okay. So now I'm going to bring all of this together and chat with you for a little bit. So you can just sit back and just take it in, and you will get the crib notes of this. So if everything is energy, the energy that you choose, determines your life. Even more important than your words, the energy that you are choosing will determine your outcome. And the energy that you are choosing is more important than the words that come out of your mouth. Now, this was a relief to me because when The Secret came out, and it was like, whatever you energy you put out is what it is. I'm like, well, what those bad moments? What about those moments where you're just like, oh, and something's happened and you're like, I can't do this, or I'm not, it's like, have I blown it? Is that it? Is it done? And it's not, because what we're talking about tonight is that the more we spend time in our signature vibration, the more that is what's holding the space when we have these wobbles or these moments in time. So I was very relieved when I learned that. So if you become cellularly familiar with your signature vibration as your home, it becomes the insular place that holds and carries you, even when your mind feels like it's going off the rails. Your signature vibration is strong, and it can allow and buffer any low vibrational thought. Whew, what a relief. It fills in the gaps and it builds the bridges until you get into alignment with your soul purpose. So if you veer off a little bit, what's going to tell you is it doesn't feel good. The ride is really bumpy. And then you come back into your body and breathe and connect back into yourself. And that vibration is there holding that space for you all the way. So the vibration that you were in more minutes during the day will hold down the fort when you weave and when you roll it. So our job is to train the mind, so when it's in trouble, to come back home to you. And that's what happened to me on the chairlift. I felt that visceral response when you have a moment, it's out of your control. It just comes. And as soon as you feel that, you're aware of that coming, you come back home to you. You breathe into your belly. And when it does, you will be there vibrating in this frequency that you've been practicing every day. And that's the significance. I was in that state 10 years ago. If that happened to me, they probably would have taken me off that chairlift in a stretcher to the hospital. I've been hospitalized 3 times because of my anxiety and panic attack. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't understand it. I had no control. I thought I was having a heart attack, a brain seizure. I didn't know what was going on. Now I understand. So that is the power of the work that we're doing. This will keep you moving smoothly forward, even if the mind does what it does. It allows you to come full circle, hear yourself thinking, hear yourself speaking, and recognize, oh, I'm in the void. Oh, that's what this is. I'm in the void, and I don't know who I am right now. And that's a good thing, because I'm in the void. And it's like, oh, I just need to come back down into my belly. So it allows you to come around the bend and elevate into these new expressions of myself and of yourself. And you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be good. Because the only thing that can come out of the void is if we allow ourselves to experience the moments of the wobble and that draping of ourselves and coming back into our heart, back into our body, breathe into the channel, anchor into those 4 anchor points, and recognize that our job is to be here for my mind when it's freaking out, witness it, and love it back into place. So is that starting to now come together? Right? We sort of had these pieces sitting out there, and this is the power of the I was going to call it the elephant shaft, the elevator shaft meditation. Is it keeps us in our channel, and it keeps us in that signature vibration. Are we doing okay? Any questions so far? All right, we've got some more to do, and then we are going to do a meditation where we come into your signature vibration. All right. So this is why what I said earlier is that we are all about embodiment, which means first and foremost, we must discover the body. Come into the body regularly. Come into the body more often. Breathe up and down the channel. Find those 4 anchor points. Find those 4 anchor points. And then we can get underneath the story of what we think is the issue. We may think there's an issue in our lives and that it has a hold on us. But when we come back into the body and we think we have an issue, but what's happening is it's just an energetic energy that's birthing within you that we're not familiar with. And that our mind assigns the story to that vibration, which happens when there's new energy in the space, because it's unfamiliar. And the mind is going to go, there's something wrong here. This is unfamiliar. I've got to figure out what's wrong, because this is how we're trained, is what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Okay, we're going to go for tests. Now we're in the sick model. What's wrong? What's wrong? Okay, let's fix it. And there's actually nothing to fix. So what we're doing instead here is that we're training ourselves instead to go, oh, this is a new feeling. It's just unfamiliar. That feeling doesn't mean something's wrong. It's just a new feeling. Something is birthing out of me. A new version of me is trying to come up and out of me. And because we're always expanding, and you're in this program because you're up to a big game, you're going to get very familiar with being unfamiliar. You're going to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because you'll go, oh, well, it's just unfamiliar. And then I'm just going to keep going and sit in the void or do whatever it is I need to do, because it's going to become familiar. So it's not just about being familiar and unfamiliar. It's really saying that I haven't been trained in how to steward that. I don't know how to nurture that into being. So what we do instead is we tense up, we pull back, we shove it down, or we spit it out in story form that is assigning all sorts of reasons on why I'm uncomfortable. And it's all Maya. It's all an illusion. And that's it. And that's why, where's my poster? My God, I love my posters. And that's why we say we're walking around in illusion, that this is actually what it looks like, right? So whatever is going on in here is what we're projecting out there. You buy a red car, you start to see red cars everywhere, right? So when we come back in here and we start to vibrate at our signature vibration more often, how we project out into the world changes. And therefore, the movie that we're playing, called our life, starts to change as well. And the more we're in the noticing of that, the more we start to be able to create that, right? The more we start to feel well, the more we start to understand the feeling of feeling well, and the more we can project out, I'm feeling well. Is that making sense? Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so how do we come forward with the truth into that illusion is to realize that everything is energy. And if I'm in a wobbly state, chances are I'm just in the void and I don't recognize it. And it feels uncomfortable because no one told me about this. So we go down this road, riding the story wave, producing all sorts of stress chemicals, creating a different signature vibration. And we have to come back to creating a vibration that heals us. And the stable environment on the inside is what allows us to evolve on the outside. So our job is coming back into our body, anchoring into our anchor points, breathing up and down the channel. Gosh, it's simple, isn't it? That we create this stable environment so that if we're not wobbling, if we're not wavering on the inside from a sense of well-being, that signature vibration and the sense of knowing, we allow it to become so pronounced in our life that if we let the stable place anchor us, it will buffer us and protect us from getting too far derailed and creating chemistries that keep us from being derailed and even addicted to being derailed. So perhaps you in your life have been in this state, or you know someone who seems addicted to swirl. There's always chaos around them. Does anyone know anyone like that, or think, gosh, maybe that's me? Like there's always swirl, always chaos. And it's because this is what we know and it's familiar. And we might say, I don't like this. I don't like feeling this way, but we don't know another way. And what we're here to do tonight is to, and in this program this year, is to practice that, to learn another way. So when there's a constant when there's a constant grounding and quietening on the inside, it allows us to get underneath the story and into an empowered disposition. And we can start to identify that the feelings that you're feeling in our body is not at all what we thought they were. They're actually just the rest of me trying to birth up into this world. And if I would just let it, if I could just let it, then I will heal. And if I can just breathe and calm and slow things down, that the creativity would just roll out and be sustainable and be natural and be consistent. And this is where we birth and we evolve, and we don't have to go into the trenches and the upheavals and the stories and the drama. We can actually move through it in the same amount of time without all the drama and the discourse. That's what I mentioned earlier, is making making our life a little smoother, making the ebbs and flows a little smoother. So when we come into our body, what we do is work through the raw energy underneath the story, somatically in the body, listening to that knot in the stomach, paying attention to the lump in the throat, the tightness in the shoulders. And this is where our signature vibration and our anchor points come into play. So what that was all doing was bringing together what we did in our first month and bringing those components all into play. Any questions, comments, queries? Yeah, go ahead, Dale, just unmute yourself.
So does that like today I did like a lot of screwing and stuff with electric screwdrivers, and I was so frustrated because what took me probably an hour to do would have taken somebody else like 10 minutes. So using it just in incidences like that as well?
Yeah, 100%. So there are times where we're doing something new, right? I mean, there are people that do that kind of work all day, every day, and they know how things work. And maybe you were doing, I don't know what you were building or fixing, but part of the involvement, there's sort of the breathing, because have you ever noticed the more stressed you get, the less things start to work, the more chaotic they come. And so what we actually need to do is slow ourselves down. When things are going wrong in our life, like, I don't mean wrong, but you know what I mean? It's like, gosh, now this happened and that happened. It's like they're coming really fast. In our mind, if I'm thinking 20 things, I have 20 things to do, 20 things to do. And then all of a sudden the universe goes, oh, I'm going to give you 20 things at once. And the brain goes, oh, overload. So what we want to start to think is one thing. What's the one next thing I need to do? And then the universe gives you one thing. So in reference to what you commented on there, Dale, we're in the moment. We're trying to figure this out. We're getting up in this thing, and all we start to see is the frustration and all the chaos in it. It's like, okay, let's step back. Is there a video I can watch? I was chatting with a friend today, and he said, you know, I was fiddling with this thing, and then I took like an hour, and the paper said 15 minutes. He goes, I actually just needed to go onto Google, watch a video for 2 minutes, and I would have had it done. So that's part of the learning in the evolutional cycle that I mentioned earlier. So number one, you're in the moment, you're frustrated. This is where we want to pause, take a breath, power in the pause. Sometimes we just need to take a break and sit back, calm the system with the breath, and go, I can do this. I can figure this out. I'm smart. I can build things. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing. What's my next best move? Is that helpful?
Yes, it is. Yeah, yeah, it's something I've done before, but it was just, yeah, I think it's lacking some root strength is what most of the problem was.
Yeah, so maybe it's like, oh, okay, you know what? Maybe I need to take a pause until my neighbor comes home and ask my neighbor to help me or something. You know,
Okay.
like there's a solution where there will be less swirl and less drama. You know, I see a lot of women, they just go, you know what? I just couldn't be bothered to wait for help. So I moved my whole house around and I moved my furniture and I moved my couches and now I've put my back out. Well, sometimes we just need to take a breath and get some help. Good. Yeah, go ahead, Sharon.
Also, too, my Canon printer finally broke down. You know, when John was here and he says, no, you have to get a new printer. So I thought, okay. So I go to London Drugs. Well, Elder College says, get an HP one, get an app. Well, they put the app in for me. I came home and I thought, oh, I don't know whether I can do this or not. Then I was very determined. So I put the app in, I followed the instructions. I hooked the printer up myself. I can't do other things on the computer. I hooked this HP printer. I've got it printing, but I still can't get it to double-sided. It keeps wanting to print 2 pages on one. Well, then it's too small and I can't read it. So I'm going to have to go to London Drugs. But I tell you, I was so excited and so proud. Hey, I'm intelligent. I can do things like this.
Yes. And we
I thought
want
it
to
was a
keep
real miracle.
that is, and that's a beautiful win. And that's like taking the time,
I stayed
saying good
calm.
things.
Yeah, I
And
stayed
then,
very calm.
yeah,
One
staying
step
calm
at
is
a time.
key. Have you guys heard of the amygdala hijack?
No.
The amygdala hijack. So there is is part of our primal brain, the amygdala in the back. Ethel, you've heard of it? Yeah. It's a part of our brain, the primal, it's a survival.
Yeah.
And when we get hijacked, it means like you're upset. Now, here's the difference between female hormones and male hormones. When women get hijacked, when we get where we're like mad or upset and there's no reasoning with us, we have been hijacked. And it can take women up to 2 hours to calm down. Men, it can take under 20. This is why men can let stuff go. They're like, you're still mad? What are you still mad about? We're still like seething. And it's because it's a chemical response. So once we get hijacked, we actually need to step away and let ourselves calm down and then come back and have that conversation. So the amygdala hijack, I'll do that in more detail on another time when we have a little bit more time, but that's something you might want to look up is the amygdala hijack. And once you've been hijacked, if you're in a argument with your partner, for example, this is when it's like, you know what, I just need to take a moment. I just need a moment because I can tell you right now, nothing will get resolved, and it won't, unless you can come back to that signature vibration, and that's what you go do. So you can decrease that time when you have the awareness that we do. Good. Anything else before we carry on? We're going to go into our signature vibration now, which will be a nice meditation. All right. So make yourself comfortable. Coming into your signature vibration can be as quick as what we did earlier, where we can put our hand on our chest, hand on our belly, and breathe deep into the core. I'm going to take you deeper, and this will also be your meditation for this month. It'll be sent separately. And the more you listen to this and the more you practice those breathing and grounding moments, the more you are staying in your signature vibration, which is what we've been talking about. So getting comfortable. And I invite you to close your eyes and just take a breath in. And as you exhale, say, make the sound. If you can, a place where you can make sound, You know, when you have something that's so delicious, something that's so beautiful in nature. And let's do that again. Take a breath in. And as you make that sound with the letter M, see if you can feel that deep in your belly, in your heart, and in your solar plexus. And do it again, breathing in. And exhale. Feel that deep in your belly, your heart, and your solar plexus. We are so good at melting our heart open, and we want to develop it also in our solar plexus and in our belly and down into the pelvic bowl, because it is the truth of you. To practice breathing in and exhale. Take it deeper, deeper, deeper. Whenever you see something beautiful, just something in nature, beauty, and keep that beauty alive within you. And do it again. Breathe in and bring it down. Bring it down. Take a deep belly breath and exhale into the earth as if you were sitting down in this beautiful earth space, into this beautiful orb of a being, allowing you to dance on her surface and to awaken Mother Gaia home. And we recognize that there is a presence that is constantly, here. And that presence is love. And as you breathe into your belly and exhale gently, slowly, draw the navel back to your spine and suspend your breath for just a moment. The space right there, the stillness, is the greatest truth. Slowly inhale. And as you draw that truth into your system, you draw the stillness within. It is as if you're pulling it into your inner body, pulling your awareness all the way through to discover the stillness within. As you exhale, pull the belly back to your spine. Suspend the breath for just a moment. It's gentle, greater truth. Inhale slowly, expanding the stillness, the greater truth from within. Suspend the breath, expanded stillness. I am. As you exhale, pull your navel to your spine and let the air rush out of this eternal system. Suspend the breath, stillness, the greatest truth. And your belly is pulled back to the spine, but your heart is starting to expand. Slowly inhale. Perhaps a robust inhale to the belly. Stretch open your solar plexus and let the lower lobes of your lung expand the inhale. Expand the territory of I am. And exhale in every direction, expanding your territory even more. Inhale from every direction into the belly, nurturing the stillness that I am. Inhale bigger than the body, physical. Exhale in every direction. Pull the belly to your spine. Suspend the breath. The stillness supports what's coming now. Inhale into your heart space, the feeling of love. Let love be breathing as you exhale. Let love fold in on its anchor. Inhale, let love be breathing. And exhale. And slowly just continue to breathe from the base of this vessel. Be inside. Be the love that is breathing. And allow the mind to fall upon you. Allow it to drape down on top of you, that it might absorb what you are. It might perceive this greater version of who you are. And it might be soothed by the reconnection. Continue to breathe as love. And allowing the mind to find loving ways to process information by immersing itself into you, onto you. Come home, mind. Welcome home. As we sit and breathe in this fashion, become aware of how you feel, how the cells are resonating in this frequency, and the body at large softens, roots, and anchors, and becomes available. And with a gentle Mula Bandha, anchor points in place, breathe up and down the channel. In the spirit of this is the truth of who I am. And the vibration of what I'm feeling now is my signature, my come from home base. It is from this place that I move through my life. Practice the signature vibration several times a day, for ultimately it is never not a constancy. Ultimately, it is I am. And now a deep breath. And manage to maintain this bodily state as you softly, gently open your eyes. And if you lose this state, close them again. And until you open them again, and you can maintain the sensation in your body while looking around the room, you are in the present and in your signature vibration. Beautiful. Huh. Beautiful. Now notice the stillness and the connection and the grounding that is literally palpable in this space right now. Can you feel it? And this is because everything is energy. And even though we are on Zoom, we are all connected. We are all one. And anytime you bring yourself back to this place of stillness, grounding, anchoring, this is the space that will hold you so that our ride is smoother. And so it is. Beautiful. Good. Thank you. So, anyone will anyone share? Who would like to share how they are feeling right now? Feeling grounded, centered.
I feel very peaceful.
Yeah, so do
Peaceful.
I feel more whole.
More whole. Yes. As we breathe up and down the channel, we come back home. And this is the space, you know, when we splat, when we wobble, we disperse, our energies disperse. And so it's that coming back in where we gather ourselves up again. Yes. Who else? Beautiful. So we're going to stay in this space as we move into what is called the model of awakening. And the model of awakening, it describes 3 distinct levels of experience that we can embody as we evolve toward discovering who we are. So in this model of awakening, we talk about 2 sides of the model, like 2 sides of the coin. The front side of the model and the backside of the model. Starting with the backside of the model, it represents what we call the protective personality. And the backside of the model has two stages. When we're living in the backside of the model, we are in what we call constant survival mode. We employ the reactive defaults in our system, and we spend our energy strategizing for safety and protecting ourselves. We only reach the front side of the model when we surrender our attachment to our nervous system's reactive patterns or circuitry and build new, higher capacity circuitry that allows us to fully activate our creative genius, our creatorship. So it's on the front side of the model that we claim and live from our place of our true power, consciously and actively creating our life as what we call the soulful self. So I'm going to share my screen. And here we are in the model of awakening, that this model has what we call the front side of the model and the back side of the model. The back side of the model have two stages. Stage one is when we're in what we call the protective personality, or we're living from a place of what we call victimhood. This is where life is happening to us. It's characterized by anger, fear, helplessness, resignation, fatalism, struggle to survive. This is those people who get up and what's your goal today? To get through the day. This is where we are in that space of the world out there having more control over us than ourselves in here. And the way of being is that life is happening to me and I have no control over it. It's just the way life is. Still on the back side of the model in stage two is what we call self-help. So this is where most people find themselves today. It's a big step in consciousness from stage one, but it's still on the back side of the model. It's still based in operating relatively out of a subconscious perception of inadequacy of the protective personality. Rather, is operating more creatively from a place of knowing our true power and magnificence of our soulful self. So in this stage, we're no longer accept our miserable state as the way life is. Instead, we awaken to the sense that we are in pain and to the possibility that perhaps we don't have to be in pain. So instead of being resigned victims, we get the idea that something could change, that we could be happier or healthier or more respected or more honored. And so we start to look at what it is that we can do to make those changes occur. So in this stage, we still see life as good and bad and largely happening to us, but at least we believe that there's something that we can do to fix it. And that word fix or control our situation. So possibly we might think we can change our thoughts, change our actions, control some, exert some control over what we experience. And with the right mindset, we can make a bad situation into a benefit or a gift in the pain. So the tagline here is, though life is happening to me, I choose to make the best of it. Something is wrong, but I will fix it. It won't get the best of me. So the front side of the model, which is ultimately where we are wanting to be, is when we are in what we call creatorship. This has a very different interpretation than the back side of the model. Because it is the place of living from what we call the soulful self. I'm just going to come out of this for a second here. Sorry. Back to my slides. There it is. So it's more of what we see as the soulful self, where we are living in creatorship. In other words, I am creator of my life. And here we begin to see that there's actually no bad circumstance to make the best of a silver lining, because there's really nothing wrong or missing or broken in place. So although a silver lining is a beautiful concept and it helps us when we're trapped on the backside of the model, it's also a very complete understanding of our creative abilities. So this is the space where we say everything happens for a reason. And we say, well, how do we know that? It's because it did. And when we start to understand the evolution or the Vedic cycle, and we can start to see where we're operating from on the front or the back side of the model, we can start to shift and change and create how life actually happens. So rather than making the best of a situation, which implies that something is bad has happened, we work with turning it into something good. Now, what if the truth is that the situation, no matter what, was truly never bad in the first place? And the more painful the situation is, of course, the more challenging this notion can be to embrace. And we're going to be learning about something called the bust-up conversation next month. But just start to consider that if everything happens for a reason, everything happens as part of our evolution. It's a way of reframing what happened. That if we make if we come from the front side of the model and we empower our life this way, there's a benefit, there's a learning, there's a lesson, there's an evolution that can come from it. And that if everything happens entirely and only for our eventual benefit, it means that we are living in the flow in collaboration with our life. We see that there's a bigger plan at work behind the scenes. And we start to much more quickly see the gains rather than the losses. You would see how losing a job, for example, resulted in you finding your true fulfilling vocation. You find that the injury that left you unable to perform taught you compassion and a deeper sense of self. You start to embrace the loss of a beloved as a way to deepen your heart to levels you might not have known otherwise. And you find yourself in profound gratitude for life and all of its mysteries. Ultimately, we stop seeing losses as losses at all. And you know and see everything happening, no matter how difficult, that there becomes a benefit equal to or greater than the suffering that it entails. Knowing this, your suffering dramatically decreases and maybe even ceases to exist at all. So the front side of the model, it really takes us to the piece of the viewpoint of our soulful self, where the tagline is that everything happens in my life is always in my favor. And I created it on some higher level of my own consciousness for the purpose of discovering my own magnificence. This was a difficult one for me to get, of all the principles of the energy codes, because we all know that there are some horrific things that can happen to children, to people, and there are horrific things happening in this world at this time. So how do we make sense of it so that we can stay in this higher level of consciousness? It is the learnings, it is the expansion, it is the growth. It is often at our darkest, deepest moments where our greatest expansion, our greatest brilliance and magnificence comes through, where we discover the strength and the depth within us actually rises up to levels that we never actually knew was available to us. So embodiment, not only enlightenment, is what allows us to take this quantum flip. In physics, this quantum flip describes the ability of an atom, a foundational element in the quantum world, to change directions instantly without ever slowing down to a zero momentum state. And this is what we learn within ourselves, is what we call this quantum flip, because the mind is involved in this. But it's in a different way, because the emphasis is on collaboration between your mind, your body, and your spirit. Because we are spiritual beings, we came into this three-dimensional world and we took a body. And therefore, the body is going to play a huge role in our liberation from being overactive and fearful, so that we can use it to the full advantage of our awakening. Embodiment of the soulful self involves building circuitry, and circuitry within your body, along with the energy of the soulful self, we can flow. So the reason we don't know our own divinity is that we aren't divine, and that we don't know and have the circuits in place to perceive that divinity. And what happens is that our lack of circuitry limits our ability to experience these aspects of our true nature and to embody our wholeness, to know, feel, and live it. So what we are learning here in the energy codes is that in an instant, we can begin to see an entirely different world and make our choices accordingly. Through the spirit, body, and mind in collaboration, knowing that we are spiritual beings that took a body. Are you guys hearing me okay? It looks like we're getting a bit glitchy here. You guys, is it coming through? Okay.
Not very well.
Not very well. Okay.
No.
Let's see how we can go. So when we live as the soulful self, it really comes down to the circuitry of having the communication and sensory circuitry in place to sense, anchor, and activate within the body the energy that is who we truly are. And this is us. Starting next month, we're going to start to explore our energy system and our chakra system. But in the meantime, what we want to start to do is recognize when we're living on the back side of the model versus the front side of the model. So back side of the model is when we're living on our protective personality. And we'll just go for another 2 minutes if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah.
This is when we are blaming, shaming, resentful, guilty. So when you look at these words on this list, notice when you start to speak these words, when you say them either in the back of your mind or you speak them out loud. When you are talking in this way, you are coming from the back side of the model and living in your protective personality. When we are living on the front side of the model, these are the words that we start to speak to ourselves. So the back side of the model would be something like, I feel isolated and alone. When we quantum flip it, we would say something like, I am connected to everyone and part of a larger community. A backside of the model statement would be, I feel frustrated and I can't get what I want. The front side statement would be, I live in a field of trust and knowing everything unfolds in support of me. A backside statement, what do I need so I don't feel this way? How old am I in this situation? What am I telling myself? These are things you can start to ask yourself when you catch yourself on the backside of the model. And I go back to the beautiful share of Lucy that you said is, wait a minute, this is not the way I'm speaking to myself anymore. And right there, you did the quantum flip in that moment. And that's what allowed you to do, it's called hold it together, because you shifted from the back side of the model to the front side of the model. And you came back home to you. So notice, and I'll send you the list of words in the recap. When you're on the back side of the model, and then look at how we can reframe it and consider how it was that you created your intentions. When we go back to that first class and we were starting to create the intentions, it took a couple of tries before we got you on the front side of the model. Do you remember that? When you think
Yeah.
about just your own process. And so this is where we want to start to recognize when we're coming from the protective personality, like, oh, why isn't this working? And oh, I'm so frustrated. And gosh, this should have taken me 10 minutes and it's taken me 30 minutes. And it's like, wait a minute, hold on. That's backside of the model thinking, low vibration. Come back into your core, breathe into your body, ground. And what is my next best step? What am I telling myself? What is it that I need to do now? So what I will do, because I know our time is up and I want to honor our time, and thank you guys for staying here for the full time this evening. I will send you a recap of what we've done today. And as part of your weekly activations, what we'll be doing is evolving this concept of front side, back side of the model. So know that in the masterclass, it's like, whoop, here it all is, clunk. But the weekly activations will allow it to unfold. And that was part of the one today, as far as gap and gain, gap thinking versus gain thinking. It was another perspective of the same thing. So, any questions, any comments? You're welcome to unmute yourself.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to put everything in, context and use my vibration. If I can really figure out what my signature vibration is.
Well, you felt it tonight. The signature vibration is that feeling of grounding.
Okay. And everybody's is different. Everybody's is different. Why is it?
It's really the same, but the feeling is your feeling.
Okay.
We may describe it as calm, peaceful, grounded, heavy.
Sure. Okay.
Centered, relaxed, soft. It's your feeling, and we were all in a similar experience in that feeling today. We felt it. It was palpable when we came out of that. But you can do it in those 4 breaths that we did at the beginning of today. The more you practice that slowing down, that grounding, that centering, and however that feeling is for you is yours.
Okay.
It's coming back home to you. Yeah, thank you for that. That was a good question.
I do have to go.
Yeah, I sense that.
Stroganoff.
Beautiful. Well, enjoy your stroganoff. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank you so
sounds
much
good.
for your beautiful energy, your love and light, Ethel. Much appreciated.
Well, thank you. It's brilliant work, just brilliant work.
Thank
And
you.
dovetails so beautifully with doing this synthesis of all.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Enjoy your dinner. Good. Anyone else? How are you? Yeah, go ahead, Lucy.
I just wanted to say that I think what was valuable in hearing while we're working through these exercises and trying to flip was your acknowledgement that that even externally, outside of ourselves, the world, there's a lot of discord is a glib comment to say the least, but a lot of hardship in the world. My takeaway is not to absorb everything that is happening, but to find some centerpiece so that I can find balance with it. So I just wanted to say that I appreciated you saying that, because sometimes this can just be all very woo-woo, and then another sort of pessimism comes in. So that was helpful.
Yeah, thank you for that, and for the reframe on what you heard in that. That was really beautifully spoken. Yeah. I mean, how do we rise up in the midst of chaos? And this is really the lesson, you know, when life is great, it's all great, right? But really where we need to rise up and show up is in the space of challenge. And that's what we're learning here, is when we actually really need to dig deep. How do we dig deep and show up as our authentic selves? Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for that. Wonderful. Well, ladies, I appreciate you all very much. Did you have something, Sharon?
No, I'm just gonna say I'm looking forward to practicing this, the backside when I have challenges.
Yes.
And just like I did the printer one, so let's hope I can continue.
You will.
Flipping right over, doing the quantum flip to the front side.
And this is where we're acknowledging, your wins is important, because this is when you start to go, I actually did the quantum flip, right? Those are part of acknowledging the wins, right? Like, I did it. Wow, that was a quantum flip. Like, I actually made it through. So yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, so if I did that, I should be able to do it again.
Yes, you can do it again.
Oh, well, see what happens. So thank you very much. Very interesting.
Welcome. Have a beautiful evening, ladies. Thank you for your time. And the activation went out yesterday because I knew we were meeting today. And we will look for next week's, and have a beautiful evening.
Thank you.
Same to you. Bye, Linda.
Bye.